Hi, I'm Pastor Joe Bucciero, the director of CISOP of the Prophets, and I'd like to welcome you to a summary of our Seer Prophet course. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about how this course came about because it's one of my favorite courses that we have here. Over the years, Apostles Tom and Jane have been operating in the prophetic for decades. They serve the local house here as CI prophets, and they go out and they travel all over the world, ministering to nations, to leaders, to churches. And they have a wealth of experience of what they've learned through being in all those different locations. And a lot of that has to do with dreams, visions, visual revelation, and all kinds of other encounters as well. So our goal in this course is to help you, whether you consider yourself a seer or not, understand visual revelation. Chances are, if you're called and gifted in the prophetic, you do see to some extent. So we're gonna unpack those skills and abilities and help you understand the seeing gifts. Now, one of the first things we're going to do, and I'm going to walk you through kind of some of the main principles of this class one by one, so that you understand kind of where you're headed if you choose to do the course. The first thing we do is we look to Jesus as a prophet. We look to him as a seer. We look to him as an example of how to operate in the prophetic. Okay, so why do we start there? Why do we emphasize that? Obviously, we love God, and as prophets, it's an intimate ministry where we receive the Lord, we go before him, and we would not be able to minister apart from his spirit, apart from his character, apart from a relationship with the Lord, okay? But we also want to demonstrate the prophetic in a mature, balanced way. Okay, so why do I mention that in the seer course? Because when it comes to seeing in the spirit and receiving dreams and visions, it can get pretty wild. Okay, so when we talk about using Jesus or referencing Jesus as an example, we want to be able to have these very powerful experiences, but also be able to have self-control and have common sense approach to things and be mature, right, in how we understand how to deliver these messages and such. So we look to him. So for example, Jesus, at one minute he's being transfigured on the mount. The next minute he's talking to Peter saying, "Peter, do you love me? Peter, here's some fish I just cooked for you." So we have this expression of Jesus being relatable, compassionate, speaking in a way that whoever he's talking to understands. Okay, so we really want to bring that balance to the seeing gift, knowing that these gifts can be intense. And if you are a seer and you're having intense experiences, we want to teach you how to manage that. Like how do you operate as a healthy human when you're discerning spirits and when you're beholding this and there's iniquity in the land and every time you drive through the city you see a demon sitting on top of the skyscraper. Okay, like what do you do with that stuff, right? Well, we're going to teach you what to do with it, and we're going to give you very good methods, and we're going to lead you into Scripture. We're going to give you some equipping so that you're able to use the gifts that God's given you. All right, so one of the main things we do in this class is we talk about the 4 types of prophets. Now, there are more than 4, but in this particular class, we're going to put them in 4 categories, and we're going to teach you about each one. So the first one is the Nabai prophet. The Nabai prophet is the bubbling up prophet. It's the prophet by faith, prophesying by faith. And what we're going to do with that is teach you how to prophesy by faith. Teach you how to understand that this is a very powerful way to minister. Okay, if you've ever trained here at Christian International, you'll understand this gift thoroughly. Okay, if you ask Bishop Hammond, what type of prophet are you? He would say, I'm a Nabai prophet. I've been trained, I've been raised up to be able to prophesy by faith. Now, he's not only able to do that, he's got some other expressions as well, but that's the primary one, okay? So if you come down and you train with us, we're going to teach you how to prophesy by faith. What does that look like? That looks like, say I'm in a personal prophecy context. I'm about to pray for somebody, okay? Maybe they have like 10 people lined up. I like to lay hands on people, but you don't have to. I go and I lay my hands on that person. I know their name, maybe. That's it. I know nothing about them. I've never met them before. But I believe by faith, God's going to give me a word for them. And as I'm speaking over them, the Spirit of God will come out and share a word. And then I'll go to the next person, and I'll go to the next person, and I'll go to the next person. I don't need to see. I don't need to have a sensing necessarily. I know how to prophesy by faith because I've learned that skill. So that's one of the main skills that we're going to be teaching you as well. All right. So the next prophet is the Roe prophet. This is a seer. This is one who predominantly gets revelation visually. Okay. Now this can be visions, maybe dreams, but they are seers. They are they are using their ability to see in the Spirit to gain information to prophesy the message. Okay. The next type of prophet is the Joseph prophet. Now, this is one who predominantly gets prophetic messages through strong dreams or God-given dreams, right? So we're going to talk to you about dream interpretation, how to understand if the dream that you've been given is from the Lord, and if so, how do you interpret that? Because ultimately, the purpose behind the dream is to understand either something God's teaching you or a message He's giving you for somebody else, some other target. Okay, so being able to interpret that dream and understand it is very important to being able to be called into the prophetic as one who sees dreams. Okay, and the fourth one that we're going to work with is called the Shamar prophet, which is the watchman prophet. Okay, so here at Christian International, we have intercession. We love intercession. We contend in battle in the spirit realm all the time. So the watchman prophet is basically one who's given cautionary information, is one who's able to see in the spirit and assess the status of what's taking place, both in permanent locations and visiting capacities as well. All right, so we talk a lot about what it is to utilize these four different types of being called to the prophetic, and we really believe that we can teach people these things. Now, you may find yourself being stronger in one or another, but we're going to demonstrate each one of those so that you can, if nothing else, have been exposed to the different ways that prophets can operate. Okay. Okay, so the next section, understanding the spirit realm. One of the big things about the seer prophet class is, what do you do when you're seeing? What's taking place? Is this something that I'm responsible for, or am I just looking? And how do I manage these kind of things, all right? And then also, like, how do you see? All right, understanding the ways that you're receiving this revelation. Some of you might not be seers. Some of you might not think that you see. I'm willing to bet that you probably do. You just maybe don't understand what you're seeing, or you're not valuing the gift, or maybe you've turned it off to some extent. It's pretty common when you're prophesying, especially as much as we prophesy here and in the activations that will lead you through, that you're probably going to see something at some point. But one way or another, we will teach you how to, when you do see, extract the information that is pertinent to what God wants released, ask Him some questions, and release that message. Okay, so we are going to teach you the skill set of how to process visual revelation. Another thing we're going to do is share some wisdom tips. Okay, this seer course, once again, we understand that seeing is intense. It's not an easy thing to do. My wife is a seer, and she has a very strong gift of discernment, and when you hear from her, you're going to hear stories about, being kind of overwhelmed at times by things that you see, whether it's discerning of spirits on a person or in a territory and things like that. So we're going to teach you wisdom on how to understand why God gives you these visions, why He allows you to see, and give you some common sense approach to being able to process those things so that ultimately you're not turning the gift off, but you're settled in how He's gifted you. And then you're also settled in such a way where you're at peace with the way God operates. You don't feel like you have to share something or you're disobeying God, or that you're missing it, or God's upset with you because He gave you a vision and you didn't know what to do with it. So we're going to help unpack those kind of things. Speaking from experience, a lot of us have had to learn the way that we work, the expectation that the Lord has for us. Okay, so wisdom is very important for the seer prophets. It's a benefit and it's a blessing to be able to be around mature prophets who can tell us about these things. We're going to talk about understanding symbols, meanings of symbols, how to ask God questions and interpret the visual revelation that we've been given. All right. So just to kind of summarize towards the end, we were literally going to do dream interpretations. When we captured the classes, we caught an opportunity to capture a workshop of dream interpretations with Apostle Jane Hammond. She has a dry erase board with the details of somebody's dream. They'll come, a person comes up, says, "This was the dream that I had," and she'll write down all the main attributes of the dream, and then she'll teach you step by step, how do we interpret this? And how do we use the gifts that we have in the prophetic to ask God why He gave us these symbols, ultimately being processed to where we convert the dream information and we prophesy the message that God's given us. Okay, so we'll literally do workshop type training with you, activations with you, where we practice doing that very thing. So if you know you're called as a seer, or if you're curious about more about the prophetic or any of these things, this is a summary of what the Seer Prophet class is about, with tons of stories and testimonies, both from our leaders, myself, other instructors, and even fellow students. It's a fun class. It's a very compassionate and encouraging class, and we look forward to having you join us. Thank you.